Welcome back, everybody. Driver 53 here, and I've got another short video on precision farming in Farming Simulator 19. Today we're going to be looking at what happens if you don't provide enough nitrogen to your wheat. Now, I've talked about this in a previous video, and my theory is, can we under-fertilize and still get good yield? I mean, we would have to do it manually instead of automatically, but the theory is, instead of loam, take for instance, we know that it needs 200 points of nitrogen. Can I go 160 on that? And if so, we know how much it takes out. That's going to give me 40 points less when it comes out, so then I can put another crop behind it that is a lower crop or lower nitrogen crop and not have to provide as much nitrogen to it, and I save on fertilizer there too. So it's kind of a win-win if it works. So let me show you the map. This is what we did. I've got wheat planted in 4 different strips here, you can see, and I've got some pretty big swaths this time. And you might be asking, why did you plant so much? Well, the reason is because I've got my soil lined out like this. I've got a strip going in each one of those soil types, consistent with what I did last time, but I've expanded it out quite a bit this time. I've got pH, I've got it set. Now, everything looks really weird with all the different colors, but let me take you down here to the 7. That's going to be our Silty Clay. This is going to be our Loam at 6.75. 6.5 is Sandy Loam. And you see it's got some different colors in there. It's because it's had a different number of harvests done on it. And I think that ties into another video where multiple harvests, you're going to start seeing the color come down a little bit. But we'll cross that bridge another day. And then at 6, you can see that is our loamy sand. So the next thing I want to show you are nitrogen levels. And this is the really important part about this test. I just wanted to show you everything else to give you the background to show you that everything is the same. Now, I will say right now on this pH, I do have one spot right here that I don't know what happened. It could have been when I was putting lime on this field over here. It's part of the road that I had to plow up to be able to combine all this. It's way over, but I think my strip is just outside that area. If you look at it here, I think I'm going to be okay, and I'm not on that. So let's take a look at our nitrogen. It's a rainbow. I've got every shade on here. So what I've got is I've got stuff at 0. I've got stuff at 20. Let me go ahead and kick it off so you guys can see. I've got a row at 40, at 60, 80, all the way up to 200. So every stage along this, I've got it set. And what I did is I planted those rows starting at 20 all the way up to 100, 200 at 20 point increments. And then I've got a strip out there at the outside, which is 0. So I forgot it the first time I went through and just started with 20. So I added it at the end and kind of in between too. So what we're going to see in our yield, hopefully, is the top half is going to be more towards the 125s. Well, on loam, right? And this is also going to show us each individual soil type. So it's going to give us a full breakdown and a full view of, let me zoom in a little bit more. So up here on Silty Clay, from 200 all the way down to 20, you're going to see what this looks like for wheat all the way down. So this one is going to be a lot more complex and a lot more data that I'm probably not going to put into slides right now, because that's a lot of typing and it's a lot of numbers that I think are going to be distracting. So I think we're just going to review this, the results, to show you, hey, here's the break point that you don't really want to go under, and then go from there. So we'll get to that in a little bit when we get into it. So what I need to do now is get out of this. I've got everything obviously planted. We're going to go ahead and speed up time, and we're going to get it going. I'll see you guys after harvest, and we're ready to look at the data. We got the harvest done, so let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at the maps. So once again, these are soil types. We're expecting to see 125% maximum here in Loam, and that's going to be up in this section over here where we have our 200 on the fertilizer. Next, we're going to have 100% in this area, max. This is our sandy loam. 90% max in silty clay, and 80% max in loamy sand. Let's take a look at our pH. As you can see, all of my strips were within the soil types that I was planting. So nothing overlapped or got out. So we're good there. All right, this next one's really interesting. This is nitrogen. And you can see that it basically, with wheat, the way the wheat is, it's a really high nitrogen requirement. So it took out just about everything. There's very little left in those strips when we get up there. You can see, I mean, there's hardly anything left in there above 100. So it did its job. It did exactly what I was anticipating we were going to see there. Next, this one's going to look really confusing, but we're going to break it down and explain it a little bit better. Here is the yield chart. This thing, it looks like a mess, but let me go in and explain. So on loam, which is going to be this strip right here, basically coming from your 8 to your 9, we know that the nitrogen for wheat, the target nitrogen, is 200 points. So that's why up here you can see that we have the 200 is at 125. So if I go to 125 here, I can turn this off and on. And also at 180. So it looks like 20 points under, you're going to get the same yield. All right. So now if we come to 115, you're going to get 2 more points, 2 more here. So 160 and 140, you're still going to get 115% on loam for wheat. Now if we go to 110, you're going to be at 120 now, 120 points. At 105, you're going to be down to 180, 100 and then 80. And at 100, you're going to be at 60. And then at 95, it's going to take 40 and 20. So really interesting values there. Like I said, you're going to need 200 points of nitrogen. So it looks like at 180 and 200, you're going to get the exact same yield. So that's really, really awesome that you can see on here. You don't lose a lot by having absolutely no fertilizer in the thing. I mean, you're only going to lose 30 points of yield if you have 0 fertilizer. 0. You're only going to be down at 95% right there. So that's a really, really interesting thing to know. I mean, and that's only for wheat right now also. So the next one that I want to go to is sandy loam. So sandy loam is going to give us 100% maximum on wheat. We already know that. And we also know that it's going to take 180 points of nitrogen is the target range, or the target nitrogen level for sandy loam. So that's why I have, let me turn everything else up. Yeah, so I've got 100 right now turned on. So if we turn this off, we can see that our target range right here at 100 and 180, we're perfect. Also, if we over fertilize, we're still going to get 100% yield, which is great. There's no damage if you accidentally go over. So don't be scared. If you're over a little bit on sandy loam, it's okay. You're fine. So at 95, we're going to knock off the 160 and the 140. At 90, we're going to do the 120 and the 100. At 85, we're going to do the 80 and the 60. And then at 80, we're going to knock off the 40 and the 20. So you're only going to have a 20-point spread on this one with absolutely zero fertilizer in the ground. So once again, very interesting. Now, let's go to Silty Clay. Silty Clay is going to give us a maximum of 90% for wheat. We already know this based on my previous testing. We also know that 160 points of nitrogen is what the target level is. So that's going to be this row right here, right where my cursor is at right now. So if I turn off 90, we can see that we're getting 90 all the way up from 160, 180, and 200. So if you're on Silty Clay and you accidentally over fertilize because you maxed it out, you're fine. You're not going to get penalized for having too much fertilizer in the ground. So let's go 85, and that's going to knock off our 140 and our 120. At 80, it's going to be our 100 and our 80. At 75, it's going to be our 60 and our 40. And then 70 is going to be our 20. And we can also see that our 0 is gone now too. So 20 points on this one from 70 to 90. So that's interesting. But the important thing, I think, is to know that you're not going to get penalized if you're over on your fertilizer. So the last one that we want to look at is our loamy sand. And we know loamy sand is going to give us 80% yield maximum, and it requires 140 points of fertilizer. So if we go 200, 180, 160, 140, this one right here is where we're at. So if we go 80, turn that one off. Wow. So we're also going to get our 120 brought into this. 28642. Yeah. So 120, 40, 160, 180, and 200 are all at 80% on loamy sand. So once again, you're not being penalized if you put too much fertilizer in loamy sand for wheat. Now let's take a look at 75. That's going to be our 100 and our 80. At 70, it's going to be our 60 and our 40. And then 65 takes everything except that one patch, but we didn't have seeds there. So it looks like from 65 to 80, that's only a 15-point spread now if you don't have any fertilizer in the ground at all. So really interesting once again. I think it's really cool that you're not being penalized for having too much fertilizer on the ground, at least for wheat. That could change with other crops, and we're going to test that in future videos. I know that's a lot of data, and hopefully I did a good job explaining it, and you guys can pause along the way and look at the chart, or look at this chart right here. If there is a need for a document, then I can put that together. Just put it in the comments below if that's something you guys want. If so, I can throw it over on my Facebook page and as a document in there, and you guys can all go grab it. That's going to be it, everybody. If you liked the video or learned something today, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you would. And if you want to be kept up to date on all my future precision farming videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell while you're over there. That way you're notified every time I do one of these. I'm putting out multiple a day right now. Have a great day, everybody. Until next time, this is Driver 53, signing off.